What's up, y'all, and welcome to 2nd and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast powered by Old City Sports Network, the best network for all your Philadelphia sports needs. This is your host, Michael Roscoe. So, is Saquon Barkley making the Madden cover a bad thing? Plus, we'll review the Bryce Huff trade along with some updates on some key players. Without wasting any more time, let's dive right into this week's episode. So starting off, we have a couple of roster moves to briefly talk about. The first being that the Eagles have signed Clemson undrafted free agent rookie offensive lineman Marcus Tate to the roster. The former second-team All-ACC player comes in at a staggering 6'5" and 321 pounds. Now, he, I think, broke the record for the most snaps in Clemson history, something like that. He played a lot of fucking football at Clemson, long story short. He's got a lot of competition in a dominant position group to worry about, so he's going to have a dominant camp if he wants to make this roster. But we'll see how far he goes as we go further and further into the summer. Additionally, on Wednesday, it was announced that the Birds had signed, and I'm sorry, I'm probably going to butcher this name, wide receiver Ife Adeyemi to the active roster. Adeyemi is an undrafted free agent out of Sam Houston State University who possesses incredible Xavier-worthy speed, running a 4.28 40-yard dash at his pro day. And that is fucking fast, y'all. He's accumulated over 160 catches for nearly 2,400 yards and 19 touchdowns across 6 college seasons. Another speedy prospect to look out for, a potential John Ross-like level player. We'll see how things go with him as camp progresses. All right, shifting gears to the next topic, we had some updates on some injured players. So, earlier in the week, defensive coordinator Vic Fangio provided some updates on injured linebackers Nakobe Dean and rookie Jihad Campbell. According to the Eagles Wire, Fangio stated that Jihad Campbell will be out until sometime in August, probably closer to the end of training camp or closer to the beginning of preseason. It was unspecified. So for those who don't know, Campbell underwent surgery back in March to repair a torn labrum in his shoulder that he had suffered during his final college season. Now, as for Nakobe Dean, Fangio said that he will be, quote, out for a while, which I know is very fucking vague and doesn't help us out at all, because I feel like that's what I've been saying the past couple episodes, is that, he's going to be out for some time. We have no idea until when. I know it's hard to pinpoint a date, but it's a little nerve-wracking in a way. And with that statement, it looks like that the possibility of Dean being ready by week 1 is just diminishing. Now, there's no confirmation on that. That's just my guess at this very exact moment. Okay, so now my question is, with those updates on Campbell and Dean, what do we do regarding our linebacker core? It's obvious that Zach Bond will be one of the starting off-ball linebackers, but what do we do about the other one? Dean was our starting opposite of Zach Bond until his injury. Then we had Oren Burks who replaced him, and he did fucking fantastic. I wish we would have kept him, but we lost him into free agency to the Bengals. And because of that, now our roster leaves Jeremiah Trotter Jr., rookie Smile Munden Jr., rookie undrafted free agent Lance Dixon, and Dallas Gant. Now, reading off that collective group of names, I'm sorry, I'm not very optimistic about this. Now, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., that's like the exception out of this group. He has not been a liability by any means. I don't want anyone to get that shit twisted. I fuck with Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I just think I wish he had a little bit more, actual linebacker snap experience, because most of his stuff, I think, had come off of special teams. He's had, reps at the position, so it's not like we had to build up from ground zero. But I just wish he had more either starting experience or more snaps at that to give me a little bit more confidence about him potentially starting opposite Bond come week 1. Now, I think there's the possibility that over this camp, Trotter could develop into more of a potential starting caliber linebacker, but I just don't know for sure. We don't know how camps will go until they happen. Then you have 2 rookies and Gant, who's played in, I think, only 2 games in his 1 year of NFL experience, which were a few snaps on special teams. So at this very moment, Trotter Jr. would be my personal favorite to start opposite Bond come week 1 if it came down to that. However, I think the safest option would be to bring in a veteran linebacker to sign on a 1-year deal as like a security measure. We have the cap space to do so, and we know how he's had a history of, kind of underpaying linebackers, so I feel like he could finesse something. We have more cap space with the Bryce Huff trade that I'll go into later, but I think that needs to be done. Personally, I think we could bring back linebacker Kaiser White on a 1-year deal. He's already been an Eagle once before. He was with us for the 2022 season in which we got to the Super Bowl. He started, I think every game with us for that. His contract with the Cardinals has expired. He was on a 2-year deal after he left the Eagles, and he's not planning on re-signing, and I think the feeling is mutual with Arizona. He's still got some left in the tank. He's only 28 years old. It's not super young, but it's not super old either. So to me, this makes too much sense to bring him back. You can get rid of Dixon and Gant to free up room on the roster, and then you would have a healthy group of linebackers, which included Zach Bond, Kaiser White, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., and Smile Munden Jr., with Campbell and Dean being either on IR or just hanging back until they're fully recovered, which would leave 6 off-ball linebackers on the roster, which is already the current number we have now. So it wouldn't really, change or add too many linebackers or not have enough linebackers. But after these updates from Fangio, I suggest that Howie gets Kaiser on the phone and comes up with some type of reunion plan. All right, shifting gears from that, we're going to talk about the Bryce Huff trade. So it was talked about in the news a little bit at the end of last week, and there's been some updates, and now we have more info, and it is official. The Eagles have traded defensive end Bryce Huff to the San Francisco 49ers for a 2026 conditional 5th round pick, which could, keyword could, become a 4th round pick if he does well. Now, the specific details to what he would need to do for that 5th round pick to become a 4th round pick are unclear at this time, at least not that I have seen so far. Now, with this trade, the Eagles will take on just over $9 million of the 16 and some change million dollars that Huff was guaranteed this season, and the 49ers will take on the remaining 7. So it's almost like an even split, almost. To me, this is a necessary sacrifice for the betterment of the team. Injuries and Huff's inability to fit into Fangio's scheme definitely hindered his capabilities, and for me, it's just too much money to be wasted on someone who's not going to have playing time, essentially, and I had a lot of hope for him going into the 2024 season, and then this signing just became a major disappointment. It is what it is. It's not the first time. It won't be the last time that shit like this has happened. It is what it is. It be like that sometimes. But however, I would rather eat just a little bit of dead money. We might eat some more in 2026 than to try to continue to develop a player who seems like he doesn't really want to be with us, and it doesn't look like he'll fit into the Fangio scheme. I don't see Fangio changing anything up that would help Huff fit in, because after the performance we saw from last season, if it ain't broke, don't fucking fix it, y'all. Now, especially with that performance in 2024, I imagine Fangio is going to be with us longer than the remainder of what Huff's contract would have been. So this just makes sense to me. The Eagles would ultimately, in the long run, save millions. I know it doesn't look like that at first, but how he fucking just does it, the salary cap limit does not exist for him. And it will add another pick to the 2026 draft, which would lead the Eagles to have a whopping 13. Yes, you heard that right. 13 draft picks come next year. That's a fuck ton of draft picks for one draft, y'all. It's amazing draft capital, which could be used to draft quality players and more of them to keep on a cheap deal for 4 years, or you have that draft capital to be able to bargain with other teams to acquire better deals for the Birds, such as quality veterans or draft picks in earlier rounds. You could trade 3 mid-round picks for a first-round pick or something like that. We have the capital to do some shit like that. Overall, I fuck with this deal, and hopefully it works out for everyone going into the next season, including Bryce Huff. You know, it didn't work out. It happens. I don't have any hard feelings. I hope, his career does well. He's reunited with Robert Saleh. Best of luck to you, Huff. And I think just it had to be done. It works out best this way. All right, shifting into our last topic of this week, we're going to talk about Saquon Barkley. And before I get into the main point of what I want to talk about, there were some things in the news where he said that his retirement may be, quote, unpremeditated, where he might just wake up one day in a year or 2 or 4 and decide, this is it, I'm going to retire. I think it's just rage bait. No, not him personally creating rage bait, but I think a lot of speculation and people freaking out about it. I think it's just a little bit of rage bait. I don't think realistically he's going to wake up in 3 days and be like, yeah, I'm going to retire. Not with how much money he's making, not with the Super Bowl window still being open, not with acquiring his first Super Bowl ring. I don't think that I foresee him choosing to retire earlier than like 4, 5, 6 years, y'all. I think he'll be with us for the remainder of his contract. Again, the Super Bowl window is still open for us. We could go back to back. He's already made a shit ton of history. There's no fucking reason to, make a sudden retirement very, very near in the future. So that's just my 2 cents on it. But anyway, the main thing I wanted to talk about is he's been making a lot of headlines recently. First, with becoming the first Eagle in franchise history to become a member of the 99 Club, which I don't know how Lane Johnson fucking hasn't already. But for those who don't know what the 99 Club is, it's basically just players who receive a 99 rating in the Madden NFL video games, which is the highest you can receive. But also, now he dons the cover of Madden NFL 26, more so his famous backwards hurdle over Jaguars defensive back Jerry Jones. Now, people have mixed feelings over this. On one hand, it's an awesome looking cover, I'm not going to lie. And it's great for Saquon, a player who has worked incredibly fucking hard to achieve this level of recognition, broke tons of records, Super Bowl champion, highest paid running back. It's a type of honor and recognition that is well deserved from him. However, and this is how I feel, and you could call me superstitious, you can say I'm overreacting, but whatever. From a superstitious standpoint, Saquon being on the cover is a logistical fucking nightmare, y'all. Basically, for those who don't know, there's a superstition called the Madden curse, in which players who appear on the cover of it at the end of one season, the following season, they either have sudden downfalls in performance or suffer one or more major injuries. Players who have previously fallen victim of this Madden curse included Peyton Hillis, Christian McCaffrey, Troy Polamalu, Vince Young, Sean Alexander, Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick, Marshall Faulk, and many others. That's just a few to name off. All of whom either suffered a noticeable dip in production or one or more significant injuries, including a shattered leg, a torn bicep, multiple knee injuries, and many other significant dangerous injuries. While this has not occurred with every single player who's ever been on the cover of Madden, it has happened enough to make it a widely known superstition and for something to talk about. And also, it's big enough to where fans freak out, including me, when one of their players is on the cover. I know a lot of Bills fans were freaking out when Josh Allen appeared on the cover. So, yeah, it's a thing, y'all. But here's this also. Not only does Saquon have to worry about the Madden curse, he was Offensive Player of the Year in the 2024 season. And apparently there's a fucking OPOY curse too. I saw this on Breakfast Ball on FS1. Apparently, over the last 5 years, the Offensive Player of the Year in every single one of those years, the following season missed time due to injury. In the 2023 season, it was Christian McCaffrey. Going into 2024, he missed 13 games. Before him, it was Justin Jefferson, who would miss 7 games the following season. Before him, it was Cooper Kupp, ended up missing 8 games. Then it was Derrick Henry. He ended up missing 9 games. And then in the 2019 season before Derrick Henry, it was Michael Thomas who missed 9 games of the 2020 season. So that's a scary thing to think about too, y'all. So between these two fucking curses, needless to say, I'm a little fucking scared for Saquon. Now, I know all these are just superstitions. There's no guarantee that Saquon is going to have any similar experience to these guys. But the statistics are a little unsettling. Now, Saquon did have a response to this when asked if he believes in the Madden curse, to which he said he's not worried about it because he believes in God and that God has a plan for him. And I think that's a pretty noble answer. You know, I know not everyone is Christian or religious or feels that same way, but I think for him, I think it's a very noble answer. I think it suits him well for his religious background. And on another note, Saquon has been one to prove people or things wrong. You know, they said he wouldn't be the same coming to Philadelphia. They said he wouldn't be the same after all these injuries, that he didn't deserve this contract. And then just goes and blows everyone out of the fucking water, achieves history like no other, and becomes a Super Bowl champion in his first year with a new team. So I'm not too worried when I think of it from that perspective. I am a little worried just because of the statistical standpoint. But I'm praying nothing happens to Saquon because of this cover curse bullshit. All right, y'all, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow on YouTube, X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok by searching at 2nd and 15. That's 2NDAND15. Or by the full name 2nd and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast. You can also find the audio for each and every single episode releasing Thursday mornings on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Player FM, Pocket Casts, or wherever you get your podcasts, with the video uploading to YouTube later that same day. This episode, 2nd and 15, and Old City Sports Network are sponsored by Warlord Beard Oil. Use promo code OLDSPORTS at warlordbeardoil.com for 15% off your beard oils, washes, soaps, and many other products. A veteran-owned company, check out warlordbeardoil.com today, and orders over $75 will receive free shipping. We're also brought to you by SeatGeek. Head on over to SeatGeek.com or download the app and use our promo code Old City Sports Network, all one word, for $20 off your first purchase only at SeatGeek. With some local sponsors, we have Robert Hangholt Construction. If you're in the greater Philadelphia region and you want a quote on your next home project, call the #1 contractor in the area at 610-348-1066 to get a free estimate on your next home project today. We're also brought to you by Decals by Aaron. Check out decalsbyaaron.com for all your Delco products and merchandise. Your #1 spot for everything Delco, that's decalsbyaaron.com. We're also brought to you by Iron and Steel Threads. Check out ironsteelthreads.com and use promo code Old City, followed by the number 10, all one word, for 10% off the entire website, and a portion of the proceeds go to youth hockey organizations. We're also brought to you by Uncle John's Barbecue Stand, located in Claymont, Delaware. Check them out for some local delicious barbecue and sauces only at Uncle John's Barbecue Stand. And finally, we are brought to you by Custom Concessions. If you're in the market for repairs to your food truck or trailer, or you're just getting into the food truck business and need reliable service, check out none other than Custom Concessions. They use high-quality materials while providing high-quality service. Use the sponsors tab at oldcitysports.com today to check them out. And while you're there, don't forget to check out the merchandise tab to get some awesome gear from 2nd and 15, as well as some other Old City sports shows such as the Living Room Show, Check the Net, and Flyers Alley. Once again, thanks y'all for joining in. This is 2nd and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast powered by Old City Sports Network. We'll see y'all next week. Don't forget to stay fly like an eagle, and as always, go Birds!